I am constantly working on various little side projects because I can't work on one thing for more than 5 minutes at a time. Something I've been working on for over a year now is an Etsy store, because that'd be a really cool thing to make a living selling stuff that you make. And this is something I just finished making. It's a 3D printed worm pin with real googly eyes, these tiny googly eyes. 3D printing a pin made me think about 3D printing enamel pins. If you're going to pay some company to make them for you, you have to buy a lot of them in order to have the cost of a single pin make any sense. Of course, you can make enamel pins by hand, but it's very difficult. Dearboo has some videos on making enamel pins because they make enamel pins by hand, and it's very impressive, but it's clearly a very difficult process. So 3D printing an enamel style pin, let's call it that, is a very interesting proposition indeed. I bet you could get pretty good results by 3D printing like the base of a pin and then filling that in with epoxy and stuff, different colors, and it would probably look pretty good. But for now, I'm not going to mess with that. I want to try to make some pins that are multicolored only using 3D printer filament. I have my Ender 3 over here and it's working now, which is really nice. It doesn't support printing in multiple colors, at least natively. I'm going to be pausing these prints at a certain point and then switching out the filament, switching out the filament like halfway through the print, and it's going to continue printing with a different color. And I think it should be pretty interesting to mess around with.
Alright, so this was actually really easy. I converted this bit of art from Mudsy into an SVG file, and then I brought it into Blender and just extruded it, creating a background layer, middle part, and then the final outline. And then I also carved out a space for the pin back. And if everything goes well, we should have 3 colors in a single print. The thing that makes this tricky though, the pink is going to be PLA, but the white is going to be PETG and prone to warping. It also melts at different temperatures than the PLA. I don't know if it's going to work. I feel like some warping and stuff might happen. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think we've done it. It looks like that is PETG bonded to PLA and nothing has burned down or caught on fire yet. Okay. All right. Wow. That went off without a hitch. Want to see something very satisfying? It fits perfectly. I could not be more proud of that. So in Cura, there's something called ironing, and that's when the extruder goes over the layer again and adds a small amount of material to just smooth it out. And I wanted to show a quick comparison here. This one has been ironed. This one hasn't. I thought that ironing would be a really good idea for pins because ideally they're coming out flat. But on this one, I actually really dislike how the ironing makes it look. It kind of did it in a weird order, creating these like random seams almost. I don't know if I like the 3D printed texture, but I think the ironing makes it look kind of gross. It did work out pretty well on the outline though, so I think we're gonna have it iron the highest layer and just not the background. This one is just a two-toned image based off me. I did another one that looks like this, but I decided to only print this one. It's kind of a struggle to depict a 3D object with 2 colors, and they're like totally solid, you can't combine them at all. Something I briefly messed around with was a height map. The idea is that the white point would be a super thin amount of plastic, and the dark point would be a thick amount of plastic. And what I was hoping would happen is create a grayscale image almost. And this is called like a lithograph or something. I don't know. It didn't turn out good, so I just tossed that out the window. And I also came up with this. It's like the stickers you find on like a box, but it's like, I'm sensitive, so be gentle. Please be gentle with me, guys. I'm sensitive. So now we print it. Great, it's finished. The filaments I have right now are not ideal for this. Remember how I've been talking about how I'm printing with PLA and PETG and that might cause problems? It caused problems. Because they're different materials, I think the layers just didn't adhere very well. Yeah, this comes right off. So I guess don't try to combine 2 different types of plastic. If it was both PLA, it would be fine, probably. 2 more. This one is a no-oh stop sign. I printed it with these colors because these are the only PLA filaments I have right now. I just ordered like $60 worth of filament. That doesn't make me feel good to say that. And I will print these in the right color, and I think it'll actually look really cool. This one doesn't look very good right now. My idea for this is a James Webb Telescope inspired pin. You can buy this crazy, amazing filament. It's kind of like this stuff up here, but instead of being infused with wood, it's infused with metal. There's real metal really in there. And then I'm going to polish it. It will have a nice mirror finish. I was going to end the video here, but by the time I finish editing this, the filament will be here, so let's check that out. Wait, I was getting ready for bed and I had a realization. I remember this Make Anything video where he did multicolor phone cases. He was able to have several colors on the same layer by having the design be constrained to the first layer. Does that make sense? There's going to be 3 separate printing files. One is going to be the outline. The second is going to be the second color for the first layer. And again, one single layer. Then it will print the rest of the pin, only offset by 1 layer above the printer bed. I don't think that makes any sense the way I've explained it. But if everything works, what we'll be able to have is a multicolor pin with a smooth top surface. None of this shenanigans where it's like bumpy. Does that make sense? Okay, let's try it. That looks pretty good. The bed's slightly uneven, so it caused some issues down there, but forget that. You can see everything we had there has been printed over. Pop it off and see what we got. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I wasn't expecting saying that. I thought it was going to work pretty well. Let's see what went wrong. The issue here is that it's a little bit muddy, and I think that's probably because of this color combination. So now let's try the new filament. Oh, okay, that's much better. You can see over here, there was some of the black filament like still in the extruder, so it made it dark. And also up here, some stringing ended up showing up, but overall pretty good. Look at that, totally flat, all on the same layer. So that worked out really well. I got this bunch of 3 colors from Amazon. This is just PLA. It's very brittle, and I've had some weird issues with it, but it was relatively affordable, so I'm not going to complain too much. I made this and this. Didn't turn out correctly yet, but I'm going to print it again and it'll look better then. But look at this. See, that's kind of funny, isn't it? Comedy? Is this that? If you get any of these little pin guys to make your own pins, watch these like a hawk for Sona, because I really didn't want to step on one of these, so I was being very careful to not drop any on the ground, and I immediately stepped on one. It hurts so bad. This is the filament that has metal inside of it. This specific kind has brass. You can really tell there's metal in it. It's heavy. You have to fiddle with your printing settings a little bit in order to get good results, but I designed and printed this pin, which I'm very proud of. It's the Eye of Providence or whatever it's called. I sanded it and you can see it has this nice like shine on it. I think that went really well. When I designed this pin, which I didn't originally print in the nice metal filament, I originally printed it in just some random PLA I had laying around. I drew this out, took it into Illustrator, took that into Blender, printed it, and within 40 minutes from idea, designing, and production, I had a pin in my hands. I don't know why I put so much emphasis on the hands part. So the quality of a plastic pin is not as good as an enamel pin, obviously, right? But the speed and affordability of it is bar none. For example, this print costed a massive 8 cents, less than a dime for this. This metal pen, which I've been going on about the filament and how it's like more expensive. It is, in fact, pretty expensive for 3D printer filament. But even so, this is around $3 worth of filament. Compare that to the costs of making an enamel pen. Of course, the material cost doesn't factor in the costs of the printer, printing, and all that, and whatever. Not to mention the high qualityness of enamel pins is just something that's not going to be replaced by 3D printing. But I think I've shown here that you can make some really cool things. If you're interested in any of the pins I've shown here, I'm gonna put a link to my Etsy store where I'm gonna be selling some of them, so if you want to support the channel, it's much appreciated. Big thanks to my Patreon supporters. Hope you found this video interesting. Please stay tuned for the next video where I will wear a skirt and not acknowledge it. Okay, bye.